Right, last place in the UK, and then we'll take a break and do the rest another day. The last area in England, at least at the moment, because there have been others in the past, but it's a survival of the fittest kind of system, is Yad Moss. And in some ways it is surprising that the place has survived, because it's the only area in England and one of the few in the UK that's not northeast facing. The northeast facing mountains, they're the ones that get the most amount of snow and cold weather. But Yad Moss has a toe that is westerly facing, and with some runs that are even a little bit south facing. And I guess it really just survives because it's a bit higher up than the Weardale one, because it's in the centre of the country, and because of the good road access it affords. And the poem is nice and fast and can cope with lots of people. So when there is a good day, there's lots of potential for plenty of members to be on site. So the system there is that just one toe, some of the ones that come off it. It's a lot easier terrain there than what we have at Weardale, but it does still have some interesting features here and there, particularly lower down. And because the toe's nice and fast, they always run it at full speed. It can be, you can get lots of skiing done in a day. So here's some photos with not much snow. Again, they're always desperate to do as much as they possibly can in the course of the day and use whatever snow's available. I mean, I don't think I'd go to that lengths or efforts to go skiing, but these guys seem to do that. And again, they have snow fencing there. It's worth noting the snow fencing they have is 3 different types. So you'll notice in the top right photograph there's a photo of snow fencing with the paling fencing or chestnut paling fencing, quite traditional in this country, and then vertical boards in the background, and then the image the bottom top left has got fencing like the stuff at Weardale, and Yad Moss seem to be quite fond of trying all sorts of snow fencing and see which works best. So go away. Their groom is certainly better than ours. We'll talk a little bit about that. Their snow groomer is brand new, around 2013. It replaced the PB 200D that we have at Weardale, and like everywhere else, they bought a Prinnoff snow groomer, not a Peaston Bully, and it's a bit smaller than what they had before, but it's very advanced and seems to do a good job. They like it, and it has 3 seats, not 2. And the driver sits in the middle. Talk a little bit about the lift. The detachable Poma lift at Yad Moss was installed in 1987 and 1988, the same year as the lift at Rays. No, it wasn't. I made a mistake there. Unlike Rays, though, the lift was not built, not new, but second-hand from France, where it had a 15-year previous life in a place called Le Calais, France, where it's called La Forêt, or La Forêt, something like that. Despite ongoing renovation work started in 2017 to strip down and renovate every tower and component of the lift still bears its original signs from its original location in Le Calais, France. The lift is still unique, though, with its design. Like all the other lifts in England, its signature difference is that all but 3 of the pylons, 3 of the 7 pylons, were doubled in height. This is because of the depth of the organic peat mud / bog which was present on site, and that would have required 2.9 metre high foundations to be put in place otherwise. So basically they had to dig down a long way to put in the foundations to get to good soil. So instead of having really big foundations, they just doubled the length of the posts or the pylons. Because of this, very deep holes were dug into the peat bog until stone, clay, gravel, or stone was reached, and then the water pumped out and a moderate foundation poured. As such, during the summer, the pylons don't appear to have foundations. They simply disappear into the ground as if they have been swallowed up by the medieval gloop. The lift was mainly built during the summer of 1988, which was a very wet summer. Volunteers reported conditions similar to the Somme in World War I and absurd quantities of mud and rainfall. The speed of the lift is always cranked up to its maximum, as the motor controller overheats when the lift is running under its full speed. Thus, the lift runs at the full design speed of 4 meters per second, or 780 feet per minute, and despite a fairly gentle climb, is not suitable for beginners. These lifts will yank you off your feet if you're a bit of a beginner and you're not terribly heavy. It is also located inside of a gully near the bottom in order to catch more snowfall. The Poma lift came to the club at a cost of £46,000 or $61,960 and was part funded by Snow Sports England and other grants. The current renovation in progress aims to keep the tow serviceable till 2048. There's some more photos of that happening, by means of taking apart each of the 7 towers, the drive and return station, and then stripping off all the paint via means of shot blasting or grinding, and then using multiple layers of industrial coatings or galvanizing to metal parts. All bearings and bolts are then replaced and sheave liners replaced. The motor and gearbox are also due to be replaced, but the electrics are in good shape and intend to be left in place for another 10 to 15 years. The hope is that this will keep what is a fast, efficient and easy to maintain lift usable for many more years to come, and will prevent the purchase of a new lift, which even second-hand are not cheap. Current cost of a new detachable Poma tow that are 660 metres long, 900 people per hour, same spec as what they currently have, is £720,000, which is 20 times the cost of the current one, the cost of when it was purchased, and 7 times the cost of a new one in 1990. So the cost has clearly gone up more than inflation for these lifts. Here's some photos of that snow fencing I've talked about. So there's all these different options of horizontal boards, vertical boards and paling. And they seem to be trying a bit of everything really. So good luck to them on that one. Prior to the Poma lift at Yad Moss, a succession of different lifts were used. In the 1970s, it was 700 metre long rope tows that got skiers up the hill. But in 1979, a permanent and much longer tow was erected, with the engine building being made from an old hen house. It was 410 metres long, which is very long for a rope tow, and had the unique feature of having the diesel drive halfway up the slope, which you can see in the middle photograph of this slide. In 1982, a second tow was constructed and propelled by a Mini Cooper engine. It ran the remaining way to the summit. Over the years, the engine hook gradually worked its way down into the hill, about 80 centimetres, due to the foundations sinking into the mud. All these rope tow devices were pretty evil. The theory was fine: put on your skis at the bottom of the hill, grab hold of the inch-thick polypropylene rope and it will pull you up to the top. In practice, the weight of a dozen skiers hanging onto the rope, the frozen rope became as hard as steel and very difficult to hold on to. You had to heave it off the ground, which caused the small children grabbing onto the rope to be lifted up into the sky, and forced others down into the peat, where the rope crested a ridge. One of the nastiest features was the tendency of the rope to twist slowly as it went up the hill, attaching the scars and anorak toggles of the unwary. Those unable to detach themselves in time were forced to abandon their equipment before they too got dragged through the top pulley. In the middle of the 1980s, the users of the rope tow started to use nutcrackers, like what you might have seen in New Zealand. Here's a video.
Party people in this spot. You better get on up, cause it's time to rock. Now, if you don't mind, I wanna have a little time in the bit. I wrote a hit, I need to put it out and let it emanate. I'm molded every letter, got a bending like a centipede. A remedy, an enemy, amend them in the mini-me. Started becoming animated when the money made it dumb. Did a man, I hate it, but I'm running unabated. And I'm never pantomiming at the gig in any line. I'm bringing any man that I'm in, you can dig it. When I'm handling a crowd, then I stand up in a bow. Got 'em damming like the Panama Canal. Second to none, the second I'm done. Exhaling every breath that I get in my lung. And you can take it like a rhythm and a rhythm and adrenaline. Disseminating lingo, then I'm bringing in a synonym. And many men and women to the bend to do the minimum. I get them on my pin and then I win and I win again. Andy Cooper coming out of the blue like a boy named Sue saying, how do you do? I got a beat that's like bare feet on concrete. Ha! Burning out of Long Beach all the way to Zaire. I don't wanna lie here. When I get an idea, put it into high gear and ram along. I'm on a beagle robot, I'm a bag of moment. I get on to do another show. No quitting me. Never had enough. Flow with a beat like an aqueduct. So quickly, let my rapper rub. No diggity. I got to bag it up. Pump a time bomb, taking the blood with the get up and go to the little middle, bring the rigmarole. And on the ride on the set, going live and direct with the vibe and the fake. Better dive on the deck when I ready to roll. You wanna get the party going? Anybody let me know? Cause I'm a bad man when they hammer the mic. You need to come and see me rip it to the end of the night. You wanna rock, out of control with everybody going at it when I put it on the show. I've been waiting on the side for my moment to arrive. Never rockin' with my people and you know we're gonna fly. Let's go. Come on now. Wanna rock? I'm a bottom you ought to be giving if you want a disc. Cause I audibly gotta be on the front of any list when I hit them like throw on my jab, got them days by the phrase that I wrote on my pad. Coming with a right, knock you out. I keep bringing the pain to the end of the bow. My lips are the lighter, igniting the wick that I lit when I spit all the fire. And there can never be another imitating me when I kick it analytical and hit it, baby D. I'm light skinned and enigmatic and I never get erratic. And I love I sing it in the cinematic when I'm at it. I can take a bit of predicate to whip it into shipping and integrate a groove on the ventilator. At any rate, I got 'em on the ropes in the days. Stoked in the maze that I broke from the cage. Talking really fast so your hair's pulled back like a rockabilly cat. Take cover, I shoot from the hip. Make a wave like a lunar eclipse on the tag to your black and your blue is the crisp. Do a top 10 for groove in the mix. I come through with a head of steam, designing a rhyming scheme. Mr. Bravado, aficionado, a grip on the mic that'll rip like a throttle. Fast on the rap, that's on and on. Fast like driving on an Autobahn. Fast all day like Ramadan. I'm bumping and bumping and becoming a phenomenon. Cause I jam like nobody can. I'm the man with the plan like Cobra Command or Tony Montana. Go my banana, scope on the land on the boat from a man. I'm man, I'm bad to the bone, standing alone. Coming with the number one handmade a poem in the zone. In the zone, I'm a cool, my favorite song. Bonita album bomb, you gotta put me on. Bonita, Ina got it a vida. If you're not a believer, then meet man, I couldn't be timid. I live in the minute, you better run and quit in the minute. I'm flipping it over the limit when I rock. I'm ready to roll. You wanna get the party going? Anybody let me know? Cause I'm a bad man when they hand me the mic. You need to come and